don't know what the devil's trying to throw your way, but God is making all things new. See, there has been this stirring in the spirit, which is why things have felt so different recently. See, God saw that pain that you experienced and has caused things to shift, and everything is just trying to catch up to that. And this is where that kingdom focus has to be the perspective. And I know you didn't want to have to go through all of that, but sometimes when those things happen like that, it's to get you moving in another direction. All things new. See, God is trying to renew your mind. He's trying to restore your hope. He wants you to see how his hand has been on you this entire time. A new mindset, a new perspective, a new vision. See, this next season is going to show you why all of that back there needed to happen. And it's time to put God back in the mix, because there's peace in his presence. There's joy in his temple. There's safety under his wings. All things new in the kingdom. So come on, child of God, walk in the new and forget those former ways. God is saying to someone right here, right now, from the beginning of time, there has been a plan to save the world from themselves. But this plan all hinged on a choice of faith, a choice of not knowing all the answers, yet still making the conscious decision to step in to the unknown. This is where that crazy faith comes in. I know that situation that just happened made you second guess if God is really with you or not. But let's just clear something up right now. The new thing that God is doing is his spirit residing with us through it all. Check this out in Isaiah 43:18-21. Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. The wild beast will honor me. I will give water in the wilderness, rivers in the desert, to give drink to my chosen people, the people whom I formed for myself, that they might declare my praise. So it's time to walk in this new thing. It's time to accept the gift of life. And even if we were going one way this entire time, but today, we make the choice to walk in the new. Then it's within that turning to God that we end up finding ourselves in a new life before we even realize it. And that's why we got to let go of what happened back there. So that way we will stop dwelling on what we could have said, should have done, and would have been. And just make that small change today. This is the catalyst to experiencing that new life that God has for you. It's that monotonous cycle of our day that gets us into a funk every single time. It's the same thing day in and day out. But what if you listen to that prompting to make that change? Ephesians 4:19-24 says this: they have become callous and have given themselves up to sensuality, greedy to practice every kind of impurity. But that is not the way you learned Christ, assuming that you have heard about him and were taught in him, as the truth is in Jesus, to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. See, my former life screams high school dropout, drug addict, alcoholic, porn addict, felon, and the list just keeps going on and on. But one day, I felt the nudge to apply for college. Not knowing exactly how to do this, I just started digging to find a college that would accept a high school dropout. Unfortunately, there were no seminary that would accept me because I needed at least a bachelor's degree to get in. But I didn't even have a high school diploma. And see, in March 2020, I found the college that would possibly accept me. So I sent in an application, and 2 days later, I got a denial email. I remember feeling so defeated that day. And to be honest, I decided that day I would never apply for college again. And I just accepted the fact that I would never get to experience a new way of life in the way that I thought that I needed anyways. But God, he had other plans. I don't know who this message is for, and I don't know why God is putting this on my heart. But are you ready for this? There has been a major shift in the trajectory of your future. You just can't see it yet. Sometimes we actually talk ourselves out of walking in the newness because the former way feels natural. Yeah, it feels more comfortable. Because it's all we've known, really. Like a new pair of shoes, right? We have to break it in. That's why we continue to walk in it. Because over time, we become more and more comfortable with choosing self-control. More and more choosing to walk in these new shoes. Choosing to crucify that flesh. See, God is making all things new, and he is giving out a fresh call to forget the former way and walk in the new. 1 Peter 4:1-3 says this, therefore, since Christ suffered in his body, arm yourselves also with the same attitude, because whoever suffers in the body is done with sin. As a result, they do not live the rest of their earthly lives for their evil human desires, but rather for the will of God. For you have spent enough time in the past doing what pagans choose to do. Living in debauchery, lust, drunkenness, orgies, carousing, and detestable idolatry. I remember in November 2021, I was sitting in my room, and actually I had just gotten some of the worst news I could have ever gotten. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to even speak about it or to talk about what the news was. Just know this, I was devastated. You know those moments when you feel like the rug was just pulled out from under you? Yeah, that's exactly what happened that day. Well, as I laid there, bawling my eyes out, it was like this whisper took over the air in the room. Apply again. I remember thinking to myself, the last thing I want to do is get denied again. But then very subtly, I felt that whisper say again, apply again. So that next day, I found my application for the Bible college that I submitted back in March of 2020, and I went ahead and resubmitted. Can I just be honest with you for a second? I half-heartedly expected to just get denied again. And honestly, I just completely forgot that I even reapplied. Then 3 days later, to the hour, I cannot make this up if I wanted to, I got an email stating that I had been accepted and that a student advisor would be in touch soon. Revelation 21:4-6 says this, he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore. For the former things have passed away. And he who was seated on the throne said, behold, I am making all things new. Also he said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. And he said to me, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty, I will give from the spring of the water of life without payment. I had no idea the journey that I would be beginning that day. I literally had no clue how God would start making all things new in my life from that moment moving forward. In January 2022, I would begin my journey of studying the Bible. I would begin this journey of getting my bachelor's in biblical studies. Now, remember, I am a high school dropout who was known in my hometown for being a drug dealer. But as I sit right here, I have now made the dean's list 9 times over the last 3 years, and I just finished the capstone class for my entire degree. And it was that small change of applying to college that God would open up a way in the wilderness for me. And let me tell you something. And the only reason I'm telling you all of this is not so you'll pat me on the back and tell me good job, but it is because if God would do it for me, a high school dropout, a felon, an ex-drug addict, he can and he will do it for you too. Okay, so think about Gideon for a second. See, one day he was just in the wine press threshing wheat, and that's when an angel appeared to him and called him a valiant warrior. But Gideon didn't see himself as that and had no idea what he was about to do. As he got the instruction from the Lord, he would feel so unqualified for what God was asking him to do. And isn't this a lot like what we do? We think that when we finally get up there somewhere, or when the right time comes, then we will be ready. We make every excuse, which is actually a form of disobedience if you think about it. So let's heed God's word today and walk in that newness that he's calling us to walk in. Judges 6:13-16 makes this point. Pardon me, my Lord, Gideon replied, but if the Lord is with us, why has all of this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, did not the Lord bring us out of Egypt? But now, here we go right here. But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian. Then the Lord turned to him and said, go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you? Pardon me, my Lord, Gideon replied, but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. And here in verse 16, the Lord answered, I will be with you, and you will strike down the Midianites, leaving none alive. So do that new thing. Take that step of faith. Walk in your greatness and watch how everything begins to shift into something that you won't even recognize. Go ahead and trust that whisper and tune your ear to his voice. The ride may get bumpy though, but you'll be so glad you went through with the Lord. See, God put this video on your screen to get you to start moving again. And you've been down for way too long. And it's time to see what God has for you up ahead. Here at the end of this video, type this, say, I am forgetting the former way to walk in the new. I want to say this. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for tuning in every day. Thank you so much for all your comments and all your prayers and everything. Listen, if you could, please go to newcreationstreetwear.com. Please go pick up a Same God hoodie or a Yeshua hoodie. It will help this movement keep on going. Looking for 5 to 10 people today to sow in, to be able to help this ministry keep on going. I'm going to put in the description 3 different ways that you can sow into this ministry to help this thing keep on pushing. But if you don't want to do it that way, please go visit newcreationstreetwear.com. Every single penny helps for this ministry to keep on going. Literally, this ministry is reaching all the way across the world, and we need your help. Thank you so much once again for your continued support, and we will keep on pushing as long as the Lord is willing. Listen, I love you so much. I will see you on the next video.